In today's video, we'll be creating a simplified version of these 3 lip balms. Guys, this needs to be an end of an era for me. I have a very nice camera. I've had it for years, and I have filmed for 8 months straight before I took my break on YouTube. I filmed for 8 months straight, and I never used this, not in one of the episodes. I'm not like super against using my phone, but I am against the poor audio, and I've also had this for years. And so I'm gonna try to assemble this whole thing. We're gonna go Casey Neistat over here and try to figure out how to put it together. Here's the issue, guys. I will have to detach this strap, and in order to do that, I am gonna have to spend some time on that, and I'm kind of in a hurry to film right now, so we're gonna be still using a cell phone today. Sorry. This time I'm pushing this over here on purpose. Okay, so today I don't plan on having like a really lengthy chat like last time, but I just wanted to go over a couple things with you. So my goal is now in this video to create a vegan version of the EOS lip balm, and not just vegan, but clean, and same with the Burt's Bees and then the Aquaphor. So if you want to know more about the details of each of those products, watch my last video and you will get all the information on the ingredients and my comments on the packaging claims and stuff like that. In order to simplify the EOS formula, so first we look at the ingredients, and ingredients are always listed by volume. So whatever comes first on the list, there's most of that ingredient. So in order to replicate the formula, I'm looking at literally the first maybe 10 ingredients and finding what are the fundamental ingredients. What are the ingredients that actually like make the consistency of the product? And then I will start the swapping game. All of this is a lot of information, and I can't unpack everything that goes into making these decisions in one video. That's the beauty of this channel, is that if you keep watching these videos as we go through more and more projects, more and more products, you will end up learning so much along the way. In my approach and my channel's goal for you is that by watching my episodes, you would feel confident that the formula that I will offer you in the end is something that you would feel comfortable preparing yourself at home. So it's almost like I'm a chef, I come up with a recipe, and then you're gonna buy the ingredients and whip up the meal, and you know what you're gonna get. So back to the lip balms. My goal is not to like make it another EOS lip balm. My goal is to get a similar product, use that as my inspiration, and then swap ingredients to clean ingredients, natural ingredients, potentially even vegan ingredients. So I'm going to start writing now the formulas, and after I have my formulas down, then I'm going to go to my home lab in my kitchen and whip these up. So whenever you formulate, you have to have the formula written down first. You literally come up with your plan of how to make it and every single step for it before you ever step foot in a lab. I was just gonna start to write this down, but I realized I need to show you guys what a formulating sheet looks like. So this is my own version. There's lots of different versions, but they all kind of have the same idea. So you're always gonna have the phases numbered. You're gonna have the ingredients numbered. You're gonna list all the ingredients by volume. I like to personally also mention what is the manufacturer of the ingredient that I'm choosing to use in this particular formula, because they actually are different per manufacturer. And then the next thing is the purpose. So why am I choosing this ingredient? And technical details and percentual amounts, which we always calculate formulas in percentages. Then we write things down in grams. We use grams because they're more precise than the US metrics. So yeah, that's a formulation sheet. I will be filling out 3 of these and then get to work. So the first lip balm we're going to be making is the simplified version of the EOS lip balm. All of these WAPs make sense as far as with the goal in mind that the end result will be similar to the consistency of the original lip balm. It won't be the same product, but it will be similar and it will be clean. So the first thing we need is the formula, and I actually have a procedure written down on the Aquaphor formula, so I didn't rewrite it here, but we will be following the same exact procedure for all of these. The second thing you're gonna need are gloves. 1, 2. You have 2 hands. You don't want to add any germs into the ingredients or the final product, and these also tend to protect your hands from heat. We will be touching some hot beakers and stuff like that, so wear gloves. Now, once you have your gloves, then we're going to need some tools. We're going to need a glass beaker. We're also going to need somewhere to put the glass beaker into. A little water in here. We're going to put all the phase A ingredients in here, and we're going to gently melt them in a water bath. And once they're melted, we're going to let it cool down a little bit. And then we're going to add the phase B ingredient, which is the vitamin E oil. And then we're going to have to be fast, because this stuff is obviously a waxy hard stick when it sets, and it sets quick. The other thing to point out is that you must have a scale, and your scale should ideally be this accurate. It should, oh sorry, not ounces, we use grams. It should be at 100th percentile accuracy, because especially for essential oils, and if you look at the calculated amounts that I've counted for us, these could very well be, 10.82, and you have to adhere to that, and you can't do that unless your scale looks like this. I like to have one side of my counter for the ingredients. I'm actually gonna move those things over, I think. One side for the ingredients that I'm going to use, then in the middle is my work zone, and on the other end of the counter is gonna be the stuff that I've already used. And also I usually have like my dirty tools at the very end. So it's kind of like an assembly line, as so. Now the next ingredient we need is carnauba wax. If you look at my ingredient cabinet, it is, well, very full for one, but it is alphabetized. Carnauba wax, where are you? Dear Lord, I found it. It was up there in the corner. The next thing we need is coconut oil. There it is. I have another cabinet too, by the way, because this ends with the letter K. Oop, that shouldn't be there. The next thing before we start, you're gonna need a stir stick. Depending on where your ingredient comes from, like I have these pipettes built into a couple of these bottles, but then a couple of them I don't. So if I need to take oil out of a bottle, I'm gonna use a pipette like this. I also have a thermal gun. First ingredient is the apricot oil. We're making the EOS one, just double checking here. Apricot oil, 3 grams, 3.3 grams. So I already actually started and we're at 0.91. So I get it out with the pipette. And then I'm gonna try to do this while filming, which is not easy. Okay, we need more. We need more. Need more. Okay. 2, 3, 30. Do not forget. You can tell me when to stop. Oh, it goes up quick. But we still gotta get a little more. 330. Not a penny more. I know that that's just one drop. Boom. See? See? Then that oil gets immediately capped and the dirty pipette goes way over here. Nothing gets reused because you don't want to mix ingredients. By the way, small little chat. I am only making these products for myself, and I'm probably not even going to actually use like all of the product that I make right now. I just cut up some cocoa butter in here. And now, after adding the jojoba oil in it, we are ready to put this thing in the water bath. And we're going to take it off heat as soon as it's all melted together. While we're waiting for that to melt, I wanted to show you what kind of lip balm tubes I got. So I got these carton lip balm tubes that are obviously very eco-friendly. They have a little, hold on, let me focus. They have a little paper disc on the bottom that you need to make sure is, it's so blurry. Paper disc, you need to make sure that that is flat on the bottom like that. And I would have your lip balm tube ready for this mixture to arrive off the stove because you will not have a lot of time to work. And so what happens with lip balms, actually, as you pour, it tends to create a little sinkhole in the middle. And to avoid that from happening, you want to pour maybe 1/3 of the way full first, then wait as long as you can, and then fill up maybe another 1/3. I'm making an ounce worth of lip product, so I might have more time to work with my mixture before it hardens too much to pour. But if it hardens too much to pour, you can always reheat it as well. It's just not very good for the vitamin E oil in there. That doesn't really like high heat. So, but that's the game plan. We're just waiting for the oil to melt. It's like watching grass grow sometimes. Since we're just hanging out here waiting, I have glass rods, and then I have these coffee stir sticks.
which work fine for this sort of experiment purposes. Whatever stick you do use, because you cannot get this water into this beaker under any conditions. So we have to be very aware of the weight of this stick. If this is a heavy object, it's gonna tip over your beaker. And so I like these coffee stir sticks because they're very light. And then the glass rods that I would use for this one, I would use the shortest one that I have. My apologies for this messy stove. My goodness. I fell in love with oatmeal at one point, and it kept it kept boiling over. And I need to use a scraper here. But it's been cleaned to the best of my abilities.
Guys, I'm kind of teasing you guys on purpose about all of this like cleanliness stuff and hygiene and all this stuff, because I just don't want you guys to be afraid. We've been made to think that you have to be in a lab, in a sterile lab, wearing a sterile white lab coat in order to formulate something. And it's not true. If you're just making stuff for yourself, the rules are slightly more relaxed. So don't think that because you might have some life going on in your kitchen and you don't have a whole counter to commit to yourself for doing this, or even a full pantry cabinet just to store your ingredients in, that you can't do this. You can always get like a separate bin for your stuff, or you know, you can clean the counter when you need it to do this stuff. And again, if you're just making these things for yourself, you're not like a commercial manufacturer, you know. So it's like when you make when you cook or bake baked goods for yourself, the rules are different than if you were to sell your baked goods.
All right, we're getting somewhere here now. The wax is the one that takes the longest time to melt. The oil I could obviously pour the second I had it coming out of the bottle. But it's the butter that takes a little bit of time to melt, and the wax might take quite a bit of time. So you want to give this a little bit of a stir so the stuff has a chance to melt. If you don't thoroughly melt the wax, you're going to have like these chunks in the lip balm, and they can actually kind of like hurt you as you're applying your lip balm. It can feel like you have rocks in it. But you want to make sure this is pure liquid, and you're going to see the difference to this when it's done. So it looks like we are very close here. Let's take a little look. Again, if I weren't wearing gloves, I would have burnt my finger by now. Be very careful with this hot stuff. So we're not trying to heat the oil, we're just trying to get the wax to melt, and I think it's there right now. So let's take it away. Turn the stove off. Again, careful, careful, careful. You're gonna bring it here. Counters are usually pretty cool, so you're gonna see the bottom of that beaker starting to set very shortly. I'm gonna take a little temperature scan here real quick to see what we're dealing with. Oh, 100. Oh my god. I want Celsius. So ideally we wouldn't add the vitamin E oil until we are at 40 degrees, which we're not there yet. But also I have to keep in mind that I have to pour this in when it's liquidy. We're going to keep stirring this. You can tell like the color is getting more opaque. We are at 69 or so. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's put the vitamin E oil in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this 1/3. Just gonna keep stirring this. Let me show you what it looks like right now. So there's a little hole forming. See? That's a sinkhole. But it would end up to the top of the lip balm if I didn't do this in layers. All right, let's finish this. This is getting very thick in the beaker now. I left just a little bit of space. I am not scraping the sides in that are already hard because I don't want clumps. So I'm just working with the melted mixture that I still have left in the middle. I'll show you the lip balm again. So now we are maybe a 1/4 inch away from the top of the rim. Whoopee, that was close. You can tell it's trying to create that sinkhole again. And it probably will, but hopefully when we add the last layer, it won't do that, and we'll end up with a pretty finish. All right, go time. I have very little product moving still in here. It's all almost hard. So now, that's it, that's it. It's like, walk away. So far so good after the final layer. It looks pretty nice and smooth. Next I'm gonna make the other 2 lip balms, and I probably won't film that process as much because it's the same exact thing, but I'll show you some of the ingredients along the way. While the second lip balm is melting down, I'm gonna line up these for the first one's EOS, the second one's the Bird's Beast, the third one is the Aquaphor. I usually use these for ABC, etc. phases in more complex formulations, but today I know the order that I did this, so that's what those are there for. This is setting pretty nicely. There is a little bit of a sinkhole, but not too bad. Now, if I wanted to, since I have a little bit of room there, I could heat up the mixture and top it off with just a tiny amount still, but I'm just gonna leave it alone. This is the simplified, whoopsie, Bird's Beast formula melting down. Almost there. Almost. It's a little too hazy for my taste still. It's finally there. Let's anchor the camera there. Can't really look. I hope I got the shot. So this formula had cocoa butter in it, and cocoa butter is a very, very hard butter, and I can tell just how fast this is setting. Time for a final pour. So remember, no scraping. We're working with the liquid that we still have. Man, that hardens quick. Let's go. Okay, final pour. Funny how the beaker has like its own beaker by now. Oi, 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 oi. We'll see how that turns out. It left like a bubble. So I'm really excited to do the simplified Aquaphor one because I have never used cetyl alcohol in a lip balm before, or any kind of balm for that matter. So here it is. I'm just in love with the texture of this. So this is a fatty alcohol. Pretty good. This is actually interesting. It came off the stove completely clear, but then now you can see that it's got like little flakes. I wonder if that's the cetyl alcohol. It definitely melted all the way. This one, I'm gonna make a note that this has to be poured immediately. This is a couple minutes later. It'll be interesting to see. I still see those flakes in there. When it is a finished lip balm, if I feel any graininess on my lips, this is gonna be what it's from. It's those little flakes. So I made a note already that it melted just fine, but maybe melt it for longer than you think. And so we'll see. I mean, it could be one of the waxes too coming back around, hardening, but there's very little candelilla wax in there. So I think that is the culprit. Uh-oh, we have a mess up. I forgot this. This happens sometimes. So basically, I'm not going to get the finished product as is. I can't just add some vitamin E in there, so it's done. It is what it is. It's missing the vitamin E oil. But no problem. It still has enough oil in there that you can get a pretty good feel as far as color and texture without it. So if I really like this one, I can redo it, obviously, another time. It's fine. It happens. Now, final layer. Oh, look. There's barely anything left that's loose. Barely anything. I don't even know if it's gonna pour anymore. I waited too long. Back in the water bath. But please do realize, if you have to do this, this is actually a good thing to show you guys. I cannot just wait until there's some loose stuff in the middle. I have to melt the entire jar, the content of the jar now. Otherwise, it might be that some waxes have hardened on the sides. You know, it's like an uneven mixture left in the middle, or whatever puddles onto the bottom at first. You know, it's going to be the oils, so it would not be the same formula. So let's do this just for show. So what I just did, I scraped in all the sides from the beaker, and now we're just waiting for it all to melt so we can pour the final layer. This actually happened very quickly. All right, go time. stove off. Let's get our mixture. Set it on paper. And then I'm not gonna wait this time. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna do it. Just lining up the camera for you guys. Oh. Okay. That's gonna be pretty too. So my formulating day is done today. I'm gonna put the ingredients back in the ingredients cabinet and then clean up. Let me show you the royal mess that happens every time I formulate. And I'll give you a couple tips on how to clean the beakers because, well, let me show you. Look at this marvelous, beautiful mess. So guys, these beakers, this is a wax. So you're not gonna be able to just like wash this with a typical like dishwashing solution with water. What you need to do is get yourself a paper towel and wipe off a dry paper towel. Wipe off most of that stuff out of there as much as you can. And then with heavy dish soap, you can get it clean. Here's my dish pile. So that was fun. I'm going to let those lip balms settle and set overnight. Usually when I make a product, I don't immediately try it on. If I have some left in the beaker or something, I might try it. But I know every time that that is not the final product. So there's really no point for me to go and try those on right now. So I'll do that tomorrow. And then we'll see how they are. Even though I messed this one up, I'm going to be recreating this one. And this is the formula that I will be sharing next week.